Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miss back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We are here again for our second final prediction of the Stage 5 Major, and I'm pretty excited about this one. We've got a big week up ahead of us. Now let's take a look at Minnesota last week first. I did alright. I really didn't do that great. I got 100% right on Toronto and LAG. I did get Minnesota winning right. I didn't get the map count right. Completely got Dallas and Florida wrong, but I am so glad I did. Just because Toronto's now up to second place. I did get Atlanta beating the Thieves. I got the map count wrong, though. I obviously had the subliners beating the Royal Ravens, and we'll talk about the subliners in a little bit, but the Ravens ended up beating the subliners, so then I got 100% on Florida and LAG, 100% on Toronto and Seattle, although I almost got that one wrong with that map 1. It was a crazy map 1. I had the Thieves beating the Legion, and the Legion pulled it out against the Thieves. The EU teams really actually had some upsets this week, so good for them. Props to them. I, of course, had Atlanta 3-0ing Optic again, and we finally got a competitive series for the first time in months between these two teams. And man, I saw this peaked at like 70,000 viewers. It was insane. Nonetheless, Chicago deals Atlanta's fifth loss of the season. I cannot believe they only have 5 losses. It's insane. 33-5 is a disgusting record. Of course, here's a look at the standings now. I believe London and Seattle are confirmed out of it, and I believe now so are the Gorillas and the Legion. So we do have our top 8, and of course we have our confirmed number 1 for champs. It's just who will be number 2. It's going to be probably Toronto, Dallas, New York, or Optic, and then the other 3 bottom 8 teams. We'll see. I mean, it's very close between Minnesota, Florida, and LAT. But if it's me, I'm thinking it's going to be Toronto or Dallas for number 2, but you never know. Anything could happen. So, taking a look at the Stage 5 groups right now, Optic is 3-0. They confirmed themselves winners by beating FaZe. FaZe 3-1. They only have 1 match this week. LAT 2-2. They only have 1 match this week. London Royal Ravens and Paris Legion 1-2. They both have 2 matches this week. And the New York Subliners 0-3. Who predicted that? Then you look at Group B. We've got 3-0 from Toronto and Florida, and they have to play each other, so one of them will eventually have a loss. Then Dallas Empire 2-1, Minnesota Rocker 2-2. They only have 1 match this week, and Seattle Surge 0-3 currently, and of course LAG 0-4 right now. So let's get into the predictions for this upcoming week. The Seattle home series. And, of course, we get to start it off with the New York discussions. So, yesterday, Clayster announced that he will be taking a break. He needs to recharge. So, for this week, DiamondCon will be filling in for Clayster for the New York Subliners. How does that affect New York? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying DiamondCon is a bad player at all, because he is most definitely not, but Clayster is not a player you can easily replace in literally like 2 days. You know, I'm recording this on a Tuesday. This happened Monday, and their first match is Thursday. And then they get a few more days after that to prepare, but they also got to play FaZe, which we'll talk about FaZe in a little bit as well. I am very, very worried for New York here. I can genuinely see them going 0-5, and that's what I'm thinking will happen. I do think Paris will get another win, and honestly, yeah, I think the Subliners will be 0-4 at this point. And then we move on to match number 2 of Thursday. Optic has been looking very solid right now, and I think they win against the Royal Ravens, and that moves them up to 4-0. And then we move on to Friday, which is a very, very, very important day for Group B and for the second place placing in the league. So Toronto, of course, currently in second place. Do they beat Florida? I think so. Last time they played Florida, Florida really gave them a challenge, though. So, yeah, anything could happen. I do think Toronto beats them in 4 games, though. And then we've got Dallas and Seattle. I pray Seattle can come out clutch and beat Dallas. That would be fantastic just to give us a little more breathing room in second place. But I do think Dallas wins this series. But I honestly see Seattle taking a map off them. Then we move on to Saturday, which has some very interesting matches as well. We've got Paris and London, which is very interesting. For the first time in literally over a year, we saw Alex actually do something, and he was so good. And if Alex can play to that level again this week, I mean, I might honestly give London a map over Optic, and I say I probably give the Royal Ravens the edge over the Legion, but I do think the Legion are on a better pace to win this series. I do think it'll be close, though. Honestly, I think it'll be 5 games, but you know what? I don't know if Alex can continue what he did last week. If he does, then I could most definitely be wrong about the map count in Optic and London, or Chicago and London, and I could be completely wrong about the Paris and London's matchup. So then we have another very important matchup of Minnesota versus Florida. This, of course, will affect the top 8 standings for the regular season. Because depending on how Florida does this week, they could be above Minnesota, which obviously will help them, so they won't have to start in losers, but for champs at least. Who do I think wins this series? It's really tough. I think Florida probably takes map 1. Havoc went really hard this past week. Minnesota, I would imagine, takes map 2. Map 3, though. Control is tough. I think it's got to be Florida. And Minnesota forces map 5, but honestly, I think Florida closes it out. I think that'll be a really fun series to watch. Then we've got the Nade Shot versus Scump rivalry. Not that there's much of an actual rivalry, but it's just the message, you know. That'll be a pretty viewed match, I'm sure, as well. I do think Optic beats the Thieves in probably 4, and that means I have Optic going 5-0 in the final week of group play. And then we move on to Sunday, We have the Gorillas and the Surge, which I have no faith in either of these teams. But honestly, who do I think wins this series? Yeah, probably the Gorillas, which is upsetting. I want Seattle to win. But either way, I do think it'll be 5 games. Then we move on to Atlanta and New York, and I think Atlanta is going to be furious about how they played against Optic, and it's going to fuel them, and it is going to absolutely want them to kill New York, and I think it'll be a 3-0, and that means New York's going to go 0-5, which is really sad and really surprising. Then we've got Dallas versus Toronto to close out the to close out the week and to close out group play, which is a very tough call as well. I do think Toronto closes this series out this time. I think it'll probably go 5 games, and I think Dallas and Toronto may just go back and forth. Yeah, that's really tough, honestly. You know what? I feel pretty confident about these predictions this week. You know, like I said, I struggled last week. There were a couple of upsets. And here we go. You know what? I think I got a couple upsets here too, to be fair. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm very intrigued to see how COD goes this weekend. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.